This is Althea. We're taught to believe in ladders. That success is a vertical climb, and if you're lucky, you find a mentor, someone ahead of you on the rungs, who reaches down a hand to pull you up. They offer you their light. You walk in it. And for a long time, you believe the glow is yours. For 15 years, I believed I was standing in the light of Simon Price. Simon was more than a mentor. He was a patron, a champion, my professional North Star. He plucked me from a pool of hungry junior associates. Saw a spark, he said. He brought me into his inner circle at Price & Klein, one of the most prestigious strategy consultancies in the world. He gave me the impossible projects, defended me in partner meetings, toasted my successes as if they were his own. I called him my career father. I trusted him implicitly. And that was the flaw in the system he designed. My rise was swift. By 40, I was the youngest senior partner in the firm's history. The media called me Price's protégé, the heir apparent. I was managing the firm's most sensitive global accounts. Simon was preparing to step into the chairman role, and the whispered consensus was that I would succeed him as managing partner. The ladder was clean, straight, and he was holding it steady. The first crack was so small, I almost dismissed it. The Veritas Fund account. A massive, confidential restructuring. I led the team. Our analysis revealed systemic, potentially illegal, accounting practices at Veritas. My recommendation was clear. We had a fiduciary duty to report our findings to the regulatory committee and withdraw. The potential blowback on the firm was significant, but the ethical path was unambiguous. Simon called me into his panoramic office. "Althea, this is brilliant work," he said, his voice a warm rumble. "But it's a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Veritas is a $200 million client. The practices you've uncovered, they're industry adjacent. Gray areas. If we go in guns blazing, we destroy them. We destroy that revenue stream. And we terrify every other client on our roster." He proposed an alternative, a soft landing. We would present a sanitized version to Veritas's board, guide them quietly into compliance, and retain the account. "It's strategic stewardship," he said. "The greater good is preserving the firm's stability and those jobs. Sometimes true leadership is managing the truth, not unleashing it." I was conflicted, but I deferred. He was Simon Price. He had a 30,000-foot view I didn't. I softened the report. 2 weeks later, the SEC launched an unexpected investigation into Veritas based on an anonymous tip. Their stock plummeted, and our firm's internal unsanitized analysis, my analysis, was leaked to the financial press. The leak was attributed to a senior partner close to the account. The story wasn't about Veritas's crimes. It was about my unethical cover-up. The narrative wrote itself. Price's protégé Barry's report to protect mega-client. Simon gave a somber press statement, expressing his profound disappointment and shock at my lapse in judgment. I was suspended pending an internal review. The internal review was a foregone conclusion. I was a liability. The partnership voted unanimously to ask for my resignation. My phone, which had rang incessantly for 15 years, went silent. My professional reputation, once gleaming, was tarnished with a single indelible stain. Unethical. Complicit. I was unhireable at my level. In the depths of that despair, my only lifeline was my former executive assistant, Maya. She'd left the firm a year earlier. Over a bitter coffee, she said, "Althea, you need to see something." She handed me a flash drive. "The day after you were suspended, Simon had your entire server drive and email archive copied to a private, encrypted server. Not by IT, by his personal tech guy. Why would he need that if you were just a rogue agent?" The question hung in the air, toxic and unavoidable. With nothing left to lose, I began my own audit. Not of Veritas, but of Simon Price. I used my severance to hire a discreet, expensive forensic IT specialist. We started digging from the outside in. We found a pattern, not a single event. Over the past decade, 3 other rising stars at Price & Klein, all Simon's protégés at the time, had been sidelined or pushed out after similar scandals or strategic failures on major accounts. Each time, Simon had emerged looking like the wise steward, cleaning up a mess. Each time, a multi-million-dollar client relationship, teetering on the brink of exposure, had been saved by Simon's quiet, personal intervention after the protégé was removed. He wasn't just stealing credit. He was manufacturing sacrificial lambs. The anonymous tip, to the SEC on Veritas? Traced to a burner phone purchase with a credit card owned by a shell company. That shell company's registered agent was the brother of Simon's personal tech guy. Simon hadn't just thrown me under the bus. He had built the bus, painted a target on my back, and driven it over me himself. The Veritas disaster was a controlled demolition. My career was the collateral damage required to keep a guilty client paying, and to reinforce Simon's image as the firm's indispensable cleanup hero. The betrayal was so complete, so coldly transactional. It felt less like a stab in the back and more like a surgical removal. I had been a useful organ, and when I threatened to infect the host body with my ethics, I was excised. I had the evidence. The shell company, the phone records, the pattern of predecessor sacrifices. I could have gone to the press. It would have been a juicy scandal. Legendary consultant, a secret puppet master. But scandal is a firework, bright, loud, and then ash. It wouldn't restore my career. It would just make me that woman who brought down Simon Price. I didn't want notoriety. I wanted justice. And I wanted my name back. I realized I had to fight him on the only battlefield he respected. The battlefield of reputation and client trust. I had to become a more valuable, more stable asset than he was. I wrote a book. Not an exposé. A textbook. A dense, meticulous, brilliant treatise on ethical frameworks in modern corporate strategy. I used the Veritas case as a central, anonymized case study, presenting both the ethical failure and the systemic leadership failure that enabled it. I published it under my own name, with a prestigious academic press. It was dry, it was serious, and it was unassailable. It began to be adopted in MBA programs. Simultaneously, I started a niche, high-integrity advisory firm. My pitch was not, I'm better than Price & Klein. My pitch was, in an era of scandal, clarity is your most valuable asset. My first clients were the board members of companies who were afraid of becoming the next Veritas. I offered the opposite of Simon's manage the truth approach. I offered radical, uncomfortable transparency. While I was building this new granite-hard reputation, Simon's house of cards began to tremble. One of the other former protégés I'd identified saw my book, recognized the pattern, and reached out. Then another. We compared notes. Our collective evidence formed an irrefutable pattern of deliberate, repeated sabotage. We didn't send it to a newspaper. We sent a comprehensive, jointly signed dossier to Price & Klein's asterisk. Most important 5 clients. The cover letter was simple. This is the man managing your most sensitive corporate secrets. This is his pattern. You may judge for yourselves his relationship with the truth. Client trust is the oxygen of a firm like Price & Klein. Within 72 hours, 3 of the 5 clients had put their contracts under review. The firm's internal partnership, terrified of a mass exodus, acted with brutal efficiency. Simon Price was offered immediate retirement. A press release cited his desire to pursue philanthropic interests. There was no farewell dinner, no golden parachute testimonial. He was quietly, utterly erased. My firm is now more successful than I ever imagined. My reputation is no longer protégé or disgraced partner. It's Althea Vance, the integrity consultant. The stain is still part of my story, but I've woven it into the fabric, like kintsugi. It's the proof of what I learned. Simon? I hear he writes op-eds that nobody reads and plays a lot of golf. The mentorship he offered was real, until it wasn't. It was an investment, and I was the vehicle. When the vehicle threatened to go off his map, he wrecked it. I see young women now, hungry and bright, and I am careful with my mentorship. I don't offer them my light. I teach them how to build their own generator. I teach them to audit everything, especially the hand that pulls them up. Because sometimes, that hand isn't pulling you up to stand beside them. It's pulling you up to place you on a shelf, or worse, on an altar, as a prepared sacrifice. The greatest lesson my mentor taught me was the one he never intended. That the most dangerous prison is the one built from gratitude and blind trust. And the only way out is to patiently, brick by brick, dismantle it with the truth, and use those same bricks to build a fortress of your own. If you're in that gilded cage, hear me, start auditing. Gather your data. Your worth is not a gift from your mentor. It is your intellectual property, and no one has the right to steal it. Thank you for listening. If you want to hear more story like this, please like the video and subscribe the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified.